Welcome to your weekly Social Jack Influence Factory. Introducing your coaches, Dean Delisle, Kate Hassett, and Jackson Delisle.
And away we go. How's it going, everybody?
Hey, everyone.
Uh-oh, where'd Kate go? All right. I don't know, but that's all right. Well, we'll just keep going here. So, not sure where Kate went, but she's not coming back. All right. Well, welcome everybody to today's program. So, just want to say that we're excited today. We have a special guest with us that is definitely rocking and rolling. He did an event takeover, which I know a lot of you do events and event marketing and content marketing. So we're super excited to have him on to figure out what his formula was to make that happen. And he wasn't even a speaker. They weren't even, they were just attendees at an event. So super cool. Jackson, you know how many events we touch? What, over 400 events a year? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's cool to think about what that looks like. So, and I'm sure that Kate, wherever she is on the interwebs, is handling social media. So if you want to play with her on social media, and Jackson, I'm getting a little bit of background noise from you there, but so I don't know if it's keyboard or what. But join her on @GetSocialJack with #InfluenceFactory. And so. And remember, we're now picking winners from social media. So if you do a retweet or a Twitter post or anything out there, we give you a prize for that too, just like we give you a prize for engaging here. So again, a hearty welcome from here in the Chicago studio to all of you out there in the interwebs, wherever you're checking in from. So welcome to the program. To maximize your learning, we always say, turn off those distractions. Hey, Lori, how you doing? Turn off those distractions, close your email, maybe flip this thing over for a minute until we have you reference it during a lesson or maybe something during the program, just sort of to keep those distractions away. And remember, you can join us on for sure, on any mobile app, Android. You just go to GoToWebinar, and it's a mobile app. And it's super, super cool. And Lori is typing into the questions area and saying she's trying to finish her distractions. So we appreciate those deadlines and distractions. So real quick, we always have a question of the week because we want to start engagement. Remember, the key to really successful content, successful social media is to make sure that we engage, and so engagement, we like to practice here. And so we want you to practice by, asking questions from us, asking questions from the listeners, making sure that, from our guests, to make sure that you learn something for yourself and a good takeaway. So in doing this, we always like to ask our question of the week. And so question of the week is what is your favorite scary movie? So if you had a scary movie that was like your favorite scary movie ever. Jackson, what's your favorite scary movie?
Halloween.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, because the other ones, the ones about like paranormal activity, things like that, are too real. That can happen. I don't like thinking about that. Those are the kind that make me like check behind my shower curtain like every time I enter the bathroom. I can't do that.
Well, Jimmy Z says The Ring. That was pretty doggone scary. Nancy Reed, The Shining. That's a classic. There you go. Lori says Silent Hill. I don't think I've, but
that's
mostly because of the video game. And all right, so we still have a few folks that haven't typed that in, so maybe they're too scared to type it in. Blair Witch Project. That was
It.
Oh yeah, and It. That was a scary one too.
Wait, the new one or the old one?
Yeah, Cindy, were you a fan? I think the new one I thought was really good. So it's always funny. It's not even close to Halloween, and we're talking scary movies. But because they just released one, we were trying to determine what was trending on Twitter, and there's some new movie that I forget the name of already. I don't track all the current ones, but I'll tell you, mine was Nightmare on Elm Street because I saw it in a drive-in theater. Jackson, you're way too young for that. But does anybody remember drive-in theaters where you'd pull your car in, and all of a sudden there's a giant screen? I have a giant screen in front of me, but there's a giant screen. And if you were young enough and you didn't have a lot of money, you'd smuggle people in the back of the trunk to get them into the drive-in theater. And now Nancy's like, oh, I feel old now. So at least I have some company. Thank you, Nancy, for chiming in on that. All right. So don't forget to engage throughout the class. We'll pick a winner from today. You get a Starbucks gift card. We'll also have a winner from social media. So those of you listening online can jump in at that point. So super quick, if as Social Jack members, remember you get all kinds of privileges. We consistently upload all kinds of new forms. And I think we mentioned last week that all the new influencer forms from the Social Media Strategy Summit and the workshop that we did are all uploaded. So if you need contracts for influencers, if you need worksheets and checklists and all kinds of cool things, they are all up there waiting for you to download. Also, you get discount codes and sometimes free passes to conferences. So please, members, make sure you're checking those messages that are going out. And Kate is actually sending out a message to everybody today through Social Jack with ways to get access to a couple of upcoming events. All right, so next Thursday, June 14th at 11 a.m., we have, this is for anybody that is looking to do business. How many of you do business and you look for business owners? You know, so how many, I know some people deal with different targets, but how many people on with us today target business owners? So we have sort of this trusted advisor edition, 5 new LinkedIn features to get new clients. And we're going to show you not only how to use some of these new LinkedIn features to get new clients, but also to generate referrals and score those referrals. So just go to social4advisors.com and make sure you guys register for next Thursday's webinar. And even if you can't make it, yes, Cindy loves it too, how to get new clients. Good to see you, Cindy. And I think I'm going to see you at next week's. Actually, I'm going to see Nancy and Cindy. Lori, are you coming to next week's? I'm going to show this event we're having in the evening, Chicago networking event. The Influence Factory is featuring how to add influencer marketing to your next event. So we're going to reveal some new hacks. We have a great panel. We're going to be simulcasting live. So if you haven't registered for this to be here, I think there's only 6 or 7 seats left. But if you need to get in, make sure you contact us directly and we'll make sure you get in, and use promo code SJ100. If you're online, there is no limit. I think we can hold up to 1,000 people online. We're going to simulcast from the studio here in Chicago, and it's going to be fun. But if you're here live, we're going to have Lou Malnati's cocktails. We're going to do videos. We're going to let you shoot a promo video, so make sure you come dressed for success. And we're going to let you shoot a promo video right on site here. So we're going to coach you through that, and you'll get a free promo video. So talk about content. Isn't that cool? Everyone's going to get a cool video. The Alliance for Advisors 2018 Summer Conference, we will be there. We also have Wealth Tech 2018, if you're in the financial space, Thursday, June 28th. Blockchain Virtual Conference that we're producing July 24th. And the SMS Social Media Strategy Summit virtual event. Save these dates, Thursday, August 14th. So we'll make sure you get in. I just want to make sure you're blocking the date. There's a ton of good speakers either on blockchain, SMSS, and Wealth Tech. Has Morningstar, NASDAQ, all kinds of good speakers in there. So if you want to get to these events, they're listed on the Social Jack website under events. And then please, please, please make sure you contact us. If it's a paid event and you need discounts, we're the place to go. So make sure you jump in on that. Okay, so Jackson, it looks like news today. You are going to be handling that news. So let's, I don't want to give away stuff here. So let's go to, so there's new advances that could point to the future of LinkedIn's digital assistant tools.
Yeah, so we talk a lot about the scouting and drafting process. If you've taken any of our online courses or attended live in our class, we talk about scouting and drafting through LinkedIn messages. So
what does that mean? What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so when you're messaging people on LinkedIn, kind of picking your ideal group of people that you want to connect with, and you want to kind of get that foot in the door so that they know you're there and they know that you're ready to do business, but not sounding too salesy, kind of wanting to move things along. We also, we talk a lot about that, and this is actually automating that through their the InBot tool. So it's the InBot personal assistant. Now they started developing this back in 2016, and even in the article they say they are very they're not yet there. It's the technology's not there yet, and they're very slow to roll it out. Like you saw with the LinkedIn profile updates, that only half the people started with them, or not even a fraction of the people, and it started more and more and more, and now I think the majority, if not all, people have the new profile look.
Yep.
So it's something that's in the works, and we want you to be very aware of. And the coolest thing about this is if you link it with your calendar, it'll be able to set appointments for you with prospects and people in. So
nice.
It'll be able to set appointments in open slots in your calendar. It'll be like, you're free for this time, and kind of just organizing, and it's basically your personal assistant for booking appointments, and it's so cool. And then if you look at the next article, and again, all of these will be in app.socialjack.com in the resource center, so you'll be able to find all the links to these and some cool talking points that we have on these. So the top 3 key points from the article will be in there. This one's really cool as well. Twitter just released a major events calendar. So what it is like National Donut Day, things like that. So you can plan your marketing strategy around these big national holidays. They also have things like the big holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving, things like that.
Father's Day. Hint.
I mean, that one's, I'm just kidding. So, yeah, but they basically did this. You can plan your marketing event, your marketing campaign around these certain holidays. So all your content calendars, everything like that, you'll be able to plan that with knowing what day is what without having to go into a secondary website and figure that out.
Yeah, and Nancy's on with us, Nancy Reed, and she does a lot of events like we do. So this is sort of cool that if you're planning an event, I was thinking, wow, a lot of times we're like looking up, like, are we going to be in conflict with something, or are we going to be up against something, or this is sort of cool. Or maybe you can use it as a combined theme for your event marketing too. So I'm thinking like, oh, you know what, this is the week that Belmont Stakes is coming up, so we can work that in, or U.S. Open Golf Championship, or summer solstice, whatever it is, you can sort of work that together. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. So like I said, these will be on app.socialjack.com. You can find these articles and the links to them so you can read them. And actually, the one about the new advances for LinkedIn's InBot personal assistant.
Yep.
That it has actually a video demonstration in there that you can watch. We don't have time for it today, but yeah, definitely I recommend that. It's really cool. They do a little demonstration.
Yeah, super cool, super cool. All right, well then I'm going to get into a quick lesson and let's get to our guest. We're right about at time, so let's go ahead. I'm going to do a quick polling question here. So let's jump on. I have a quick question because we have so many new people. Are you a business influencer? Please watch for the polling question to come at you right now. It's big blue screen that popped up, or if you click the little flower, it'll come to the top. On the app, it should automatically pop up on your phone or device. And we have 24% voted. Let's get the rest of you in here. So 29%. So we have 57% yes. So this is good. This will be a good part of our lesson today. So we have 50% of you in. Come on, we need everybody to engage. We have a guest coming up here that you're going to learn a ton from. So we want to make sure you're ready to ask questions. We have you on the top of our screen here, 59% voted. Okay, so I'm going to bring this, I'm going to send this back and I'm going to share this with you. But here we have 70% yes, 20% no and 10% not sure. So in today's lesson, we're going to talk about, our guest who's a tremendous influencer, but I want you to all to sort of own your influencerness. And we know we have a lot of new people with us, but the fact is you are all influencers. So the goal here is to make sure that you own it, that you claim it. And it looks different for each and every one of us. We're all on a different journey with our career, with who we are as a professional. And so what we want you to do is to make sure that you always know that you are a business influencer, whether it's within your organization, whether it's with your clients, whatever that looks like, you are an influencer. So make sure you own it. And Social Jack is your source for all influencer development. So if you want to take classes, you want coaching, or just log into the platform, we have unlimited coaching that you can type in questions anytime into the Social Jack coaching platform. Did you know that? And you can ask questions like, how do I get my profile to the top of LinkedIn? Can you score my profile for me? Can you tell me what I can do to be to get more Twitter followers? All those things are just one click away with Social Jack. So make sure you can't ask us enough questions. We are here for you. All right, real quick, a 60-second lesson, taking over an event with B2B content marketing. But let's talk about the first steps. Remember, this is a contest too. What is the sort of number one thing that's at an event? This is a contest question here. What is the number one thing that is in an event? What is the number one thing you think about? Well, I go to the event and what's there? First person to answer, Tracy wins. Tracy Seaford. Jackson, mark her down as a winner. People. And Lori said, hopefully food, networking. So it's about people, right? Social networking is about people. Events are about people. So Aaron is going to come on in a second here, and we're going to talk about how to make sure that you engage with the people, not just at the event, but online. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to bring on Aaron Orendorff, and he's a proud parent of 3 daughters and 2 bunnies. His 2 bunnies, Fezziwig and Treon, have posted on Instagram more than Aaron, probably even more than me because I spend a little less time on that. He's editor-in-chief of Shopify Plus, founder of Iconic Content, which I think is a cool name, and then has been featured in Forbes, top 25 influencers to watch, Mashable entrepreneur. Aaron, come on down. Good to have you on with us today.
What a fantastic introduction. I am psyched to be here as well. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and live from Oregon. I think you're our first guest from Oregon, which is super cool because I'm like, you know what? I've traveled all over the world, and I don't think I've been there. So now I have an excuse to come there because I'm going to come and have lunch with you out there, just because I think it's a cool place.
Hey, if you've been to Seattle, Vancouver, the Pacific Northwest is basically one long continuous stream of culture that is perfectly personified in Portlandia. It's all the same vibe, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. I'm not cool enough to be here, but I snuck in.
You are cool enough to be there. So and my favorite place in the world, if I had a place to pick, I've always loved Vancouver. I spent a lot of time up there and had the very best salmon in the world up there. I learned how to, learn what good salmon tastes like and all that cool stuff. But I do love that sort of just climate and area. But have you always been up that way, or have you always been in Oregon?
As a happenstance of fate, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Oregon, a place called Klamath Falls that nobody has any business knowing about. Did a little bit of traveling with some bad experiences in high school and ended up back in Oregon. Went to college in Southern Oregon, went to Portland for my graduate work, part of a previous life when I was in full-time ministry. And then moved back to the middle of nowhere, Southern Oregon, for about 5 years. And a month ago, returned to Portland. So I'm in the middle of somewhere now and super, just loving it. But I'm an Oregonian through and through.
Oregonian, is that a thing? I mean, I know Portlandian is, right? That's a thing too.
Absolutely.
Well, now you're a Portlandian too. That's even I think that's like 2 notches up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Do not jizz up. I'll shame the rest of my
Look
West
at
Coast
your
compatriots
influence
with it.
has risen with your move already. My gosh, we didn't think it could go any higher. So I want to have fun with this a little bit because all of us are in content marketing, and some of us just don't know it. It's like we don't even realize that we're doing it. And you've really mastered this and sort of cornered yourself on this, in terms of what content marketing is. So for those of us, can you just give us your definition? Like, what the heck is content marketing? Everybody talks about it. What is it?
Sure. So a lot of times when people hear content marketing, they immediately think blogging. And written content, lowercase c, is absolutely a huge part of it. That was my bread and butter, and really still is 90%, 80% of what I do on a day-to-day basis, written content. But one of the things we're going to talk about today is that overlap between video, email, social, and even just the collections and collaborations that you make through non-public facing things like Slack that you can then roll into content with a capital C, maybe like this. That it essentially, when I think about it in the marketing sense, it's giving away value independent of the product you're selling and prior to someone purchasing it. So that independent and prior to, it's something that's useful before they even click buy, to build credibility, to build relationships in any of the forms that people consume online, giving value.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So as I think about the fact that you're going to be my new best friend in content and resource that I'm going to turn to and go, what does Aaron think? So as I look at that, how did you get here? Were you like always in content, or did it just like happen that you went one day from, I don't know, you know, bussing tables to doing content? How did you get here?
So I've always been in content because I've always been in love with the power of words, particularly written words and spoken words. I was sort of a drama nerd in high school. I loved public speaking, even though people freak me out. I really enjoyed public speaking.
Ditto.
And so I did an undergraduate in English and then moved to Portland, where I got what's called a Master's of Divinity from a fully accredited seminary. This wasn't somebody's basement. This was
Right.
the real deal. I spent about 2 years in full-time ministry. The thing that really, why I'd say I'd always been in content was because even then, I fell in with the right sources to read. And I began seeing how persuasion, whether it's inside something like a religious or spiritual setting or anywhere else, is always directed by the same universal principles. And so I devoured content, recorded audio content, video content, written content from people that were inside and outside of ministry, particularly one guy named Tim Keller, who anything he would put out, I would devour. And he was one of these guys out in NYC who, unassuming, late 50s, early 60s, white dude pastor in the middle of New York City. But when he wrote his first book, he got invited to places like UC Berkeley, Georgetown, a ton of Ivy League institutions. And his talk at Google headquarters is just a classic in my mind. You can still find it on YouTube. Tim Keller, Google headquarters. That cut my teeth on those universal principles of persuasion that are true no matter what you're doing. So that's like sort of my long backstory into content marketing.
Right. And then you wound up at Shopify, right? So and in content like it looked like head of content marketing. So did you just walk in the door and you were head of content marketing, or did you evolve?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They came banging on my door. They were begging me to, no, nothing like that. About 5 years ago, I found myself unemployed and unemployable. So I'd gotten this master's degree. I had successfully burned down a career with no record, mind you. But,
Right.
So I found myself unemployed and unemployable, and I knew I had this love of communication. I was starting to get a few editing jobs for marketing related materials. So I launched a site, I started writing, And then I went full steam into guest posting. And that was really how I built my career, was I just started cold pitching like a beast, editors of Entrepreneur, Fast Company, Business Insider, a ton of niche marketing blogs like Social Media Examiner, Copy Blogger, Content Marketing Institute, all of these places, and just went crazy,
Nice.
giving. That was actually how I connected with Shopify Plus. So I started collecting some clients. I had my first enterprise client, started charging more over about this 2 to 3 year period, charging more and more and more, freaked out every time I raised my rates. And then just this crazy happenstance, I wrote a post for Conversion XL, which is really like the top tier publication when it comes to conversion rate optimization, all things CRO online. Didn't know it at the time. I was using an automated Twitter tool to basically send out messages to anybody I ever mentioned in an article anywhere. And I would drip these out like 1 per hour so they looked real. And I tagged a dude I didn't know whose name was Tommy Walker. Hey, Tommy, I included you in this article for Conversion XL. Did I get your link right? He wrote me back and was like, this is solid stuff. I'm out at Shopify Plus now. You want to write for me? And it was one of those crazy, it got another gig. I started as a freelancer for them, writing for Shopify Plus, which is basically the enterprise arm of the behemoth that is Shopify. So we've got about 6,000 merchants, small to medium-sized businesses on the main platform, and upwards of 3,600 large to enterprise-sized merchants that operate on Shopify Plus. Crazy automated tweet led to freelancing for a year. That led to being a full-time writer for them for a year. And as of 2018, Tommy, the original editor-in-chief, left, and I stepped right in. Did the job for about 3 months. Because no one else was there to do it. And after I did that, they said, hey, you want this job? I said, I do.
That's super cool. Yeah, when I was, it was funny, when I was blogging, I actually had built a social media company overseas because we were just testing so much stuff. I couldn't afford to do it here in the States, and nobody knew what the heck social media was. This was like, this was like when we were in between like LinkedIn and all the other stuff that came before LinkedIn. So it was funny. And so I'm like paying people over there to write for me, and they're like, hey, Fox News just responded to your blog. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I was blogging. So I was like, because I was like so busy building the business, and I was like, in the early days, I was one of the kingpins of e-zine articles. Do you remember that?
Yes,
You could publish your articles. And so I was just like, that was my thing. I was like, got to the top of the charts, and I was top of Google, and all this stuff was working. And I'm like, hey, I need to keep writing, but here's all the stuff I want to write about. I just don't have time. And then I was like, wow, it's really important. I think I should start writing again, because look, all of a sudden I'm on Fox National News. I'm on Fox and Friends in the morning from a blog post. I go, how did that happen? So then I became more hungry to not just do this video content and things like what we're doing now, but I think it's important to have that combined effort.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like I'm a construction worker with a hammer as a writer. And so I see everything as a nail, and I'm just like, I'll throw words at it. And that can be a blind spot, but I would still fight to the death with anybody that written words in particular, are the backbone of everything else.
Yep.
And I'm a huge fan of repurposing. I love content with a capital C, from social to video, all those things. But that written content is almost always the backbone.
Yeah, that's super cool. Now, when you reference, because now you've got me thinking here, I wrote this down when you said it. So content with a small c versus capital C. Break that down real quick.
So the content with a small c is where most people hear content marketing or content strategy, and they exclusively think your website, your blog, maybe some emails that go out, and like a landing page thrown in there from time to time, but word-based. Content with a capital C is a far more integrated strategy that really does do justice to how big a word content is.
I like that.
It includes social, especially native social stuff that's customized for, I post differently on LinkedIn than I do on Facebook, than I do on Twitter, than I do on Instagram when I go on Instagram. All of these things are, it's all about that, that idea of multi-channel and customizing content to meet those different channels wherever they appear, wherever your audience is, but unifying that together, capital C.
Yeah, right on, right on. Okay, well, you notice I changed screens here real quick because we do 400 events, and I was like, I was like, when I heard we had you on the program, I'm like, I cannot wait because I'm sure there's something we're not doing that we need to do as many as we do, and then it's like, so when I was like, wait, he took over a conference and he wasn't even a speaker. Like, were you even an attendee, or did that did you just slide in and just take over? You got to tell us this story and everybody that does events that we know is on here right now and listening in. So
this article, this story really came out of two failures. And I like that because I got this little hashtag, let's get rejected.
Yeah, right.
I love the idea of embracing failure as a learning experience because that's always taught me the most. So this came out of two failures. One, professional. I applied to be a speaker, and my cohort, my compadre in this little experiment, Nadia, she also applied to be a speaker at what is really the largest content marketing event in the world, content marketing world, run by
Sure.
Content Marketing Institute. I mean, it's a fantastic event. We both applied to be speakers back in 2016 and both got rejected. So we decided, what can we do instead? So that was that first failure. And the second one, you said, when you think of conferences or events, what's the first thing? Networking, people, right? Both of those things freak me out. I'm the dude, like I can fake it and I can get in front and I can talk like this and move my hands. One-on-one with other humans I don't know freaks me out. I'm very much a natural introvert, not an extrovert when it comes to one-on-one or small groups. So I had this tension of like getting rejected as a speaker, and then I want to go to this conference, but I'm scared. So this then it met those two needs because we hatched up this little plan together. So I had a partner in it, like a teammate, which totally took a lot of the pressure off of that personal fear. And then what this did was it set the stage for the event. So I had assignments, I had missions, I had questions going in instead of like that blank, oh my gosh, I got to go start like 50 conversations. I have no idea what to say. I had something to say every time as an opener. So that's where this sort of came together from.
Nice. So yeah, it's funny. It was like I was laughing. It was like people thought, well, of course, when I was back when I was dating in high school, it was decades ago, but it was like funny because I would write down these notes of every possible thing I could say so I wouldn't have any deadness in the conversation. In my first business meetings, I took the same thing, because I was asking my dad, I go, what should I do? He goes, write down everything that you could possibly want to know and ask those questions and put them on a sheet of paper. And so I had these, 5x8 index cards in front of me, and I would get on the phone and people were like, wow, he's just amazing on the phone. And I was like, yeah, but I had this whole thing pre-planned. It wasn't natural. And then, of course, you develop skills over time, but then in business meetings, it was the same way. It's like, what's that opening conversation? What's the next thing you say? What happens if there's dead silence? Oh my gosh, where do you go from there? So what recipe did you follow then?
So I enlisted Nadia, and in the article that I think we're going to link to in the show notes, I actually do include a lot of screenshots of like our initial Slack conversation back and forth, and then how we got organized before. So we imported, basically copy and paste, fancy style, all of the keynoters and presenters into a giant Google sheet. And then her and I went through and we identified as many of the speakers that we knew personally that we'd bumped up against in the past. And you can see, if you look at the article, there's some green highlights of who we knew, which is few and far between.
Yeah, just a handful.
But what I liked about this is it's such a template for how I've created fantastic content outside of this and how I built my own personal network, which is basically making it insanely easy for people to help you. Piggybacking on something they're already passionate about. So all these people love content. All these people are going to be at the event. They're all going to be speaking at the event, and they'd all like a little bit of, right? Nobody should away from that. And then that fifth ingredient is keep it simple. every time we went after one of these people, so we identified all these speakers, we put together another Google form that basically had one question in it. How do you approach a keynoter at an event without coming off weird? So this is a question that like I wanted to know the answer to. Like,
Wait, so you were asking them that question?
Asking them that question. Yeah, it was kind of like when you see them in the wild, how do you not freak them out?
Right, exactly.
So it was a super relevant question. I can't believe nobody had asked it before, because I wonder this every time I try to talk to a speaker after an event or when they get off the stage. Like, how do I do that and not come off like freaking weird? And so like it was a great question, and we did this sort of like divide and conquer thing. But we started with all the people we had personal relationships with. We asked them. Anybody who responded to that, the very next thing we said is, do you know anyone else at the event who we should talk to also? Just one name. So like ask one question at a time. How do you approach a speaker? After they answer that question, the next question, one question, who else should we talk to? And then we started rolling those answers into people we didn't know, not only through who should we talk to next, but by tweeting directly at these folks, by hitting them up on Facebook, by trying to track down their email address and showing them the answers that their other speakers, their cohorts, had already provided. So like there's a little bit of social proof in there. And so even though we knew very few of these people to start, we started rolling all of that into like the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. So that by the time we showed up, I think we got like 26, 28 of these headliners, keynote speakers, into an article, all answering that one question with really meaty responses.
Wow.
So we put this together into an infographic, because
and of course you tag them in that.
Oh, beyond that. So we take all their answers. We let them know we're going to release this day one of the conference. Nadia and I meet up for the first time in person. Nadia is the chief marketing officer at Vengage, which specializes in infographics and social sharing.
Just like our mutual friend Brian Wallace from last week's show, right?
Yes. Although Brian Wallace is a freaking infographic artist.
Animal. I say infographic animal.
He's animal artiste.
And not just a bunny, but like a lion. I had to go back to the bunnies.
Careful.
Yeah, I know.
No, so this was like a perfect, Vengage, the company she works for, is an infographic builder. It's sort of like a stripped down version of Photoshop that anybody, someone like me.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, so they built one. We launched it. We promoted it on a site called Growth Hackers, tagged everybody on a site called inbound.org, tagged everybody, started sharing it one-on-one. So like I made a series of GIFs. Like I just recorded, bam, 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 like 28 in a row, personalized thank you messages to every single person that had contributed to it, with a little something about their contribution in it. So like these are minute and 30 seconds, takes me like 2 hours, knock them all out. And then when the conference kicks off and we drop the whole infographic, we put it on all these other sites, we share it on social, then I hit them all out using something like Buffer, which lets me just upload, drag and drop, here's a video, here's a video, here's a video at so-and-so every single time. So it's kind of this like blitz approach, right when the conference starts, with all the content we've created up to that point. Then what we did on the ground was we took that, how do you approach, an influencer, a keynote, or a speaker at a conference without being weird, and just universalized it. So we knew we wanted to get like 100 individual people at the conference, speakers and attendees alike, to answer what's your best personal networking tip at a conference, especially if you're scared or intimidated.
Wow.
Right? So it's just keying into like what I know is universal for a lot of humans, because I experience it myself. But that's where we were able to have these 28 people right out of the gate who were speaking. We were able to answer that initial question and then ask all of them that question. And then like when Nadia and I hit the ground, we had this like really great opening question. And we had a friend who ran a really popular Snap account. So we got to take over that for an entire day as well, because neither one of us were big on that at that point. So we were like recording all of these snaps. So we had like video content that we could then repurpose. We had written answers, which we could then repurpose. And then we ended up turning all of that into an article for CMI, the people that sponsor Content Marketing World itself, did another infographic, right? This was like,
yeah, right.
this one idea that then balloons into like an infographic, an article day one, social media during the event, an article after on CMI, and then this big behind the scenes article that I got to write up on my own site as well. So it's like one idea just off and running with everything we could do on the back end of that.
Well, and the ultimate is you included all forms of content.
This is content with a capital C. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then connected all the people, because that's the secret sauce.
It is. And what I want to stress about all this, and the reason, like, it's kind of a boastful title of an article, how to attend a conference and take it over, even if you're not a speaker. And I'm not.
And you got invited back, right? Just so.
Oh yeah. We ended up, we got Joe Paluzzi, who's like at the time, he was the founder of CMI and Content Marketing World, so he's always the keynoter. We got him to do his very first Snapchat, which was great, and we rolled all those into a compiled video, put that on YouTube. I mean, just left and right doing stuff, like never let anything go to waste. What I love about all this is, even though there's a boastful title, is it all came from that. Both of us were rejected as speakers. How are we going to make the most of this? And people scare me.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, how do I take my failures, my shortcomings, my rejections, and do something with them rather than nothing? Let them be like a stopping point. How do I make them jumping off points?
Well, and I think that goes back, I've taught a workshop for years called The Power of Authenticity, and you're being genuine, authentic, and going, hey man, I feel quirky, and this is what's on my mind. Can you help? know? And everyone stepped up, an entire conference stepped up to help.
And honestly, like, content people are some of the best people online. Like, I just, I think because we all share that same weird, it's like the stand-up comedians. They all have like terrible backstories. There's a lot of like underneath the hood ugliness. I don't know if that's totally true of marketers or content marketers in general, but that authenticity, it's a question that is on the forefront of my mind. And if I'm brave enough to open that up, you bet it's on the forefront of 80% of the people you're going to bump into on a daily basis, at the forefront of their minds too.
Yeah, right on. Just a couple comments coming in. Jimmy Z's going, this guy is so clever. Look at that. Look how clever you are. I knew you were clever, though, but that's no fair. Lori's like, she loves it because it's like, this is what's on people's mind. They just don't ask. They don't say anything,
Or you ask, but you don't get organized about it and think strategically about, how can I not just have conversation? Okay, so before we even talked, you mentioned that Andy Cresadina was on the show recently. And I made the comment that I've stolen 90% of everything smart.
We all have from Andy. Andy's great, man.
Here's the truth.
Yeah.
I stole this idea from Andy. What Andy did for a number of years in a row at CM World was he made a yearbook. And he would take like a physical book. Yeah, he would take a physical book, like the program for it, and he'd ask people to sign it and write notes, which was like that opening line made for conversations. And then he'd take really high quality pictures of it and turn it into like a lookbook online and link to everybody's comments year after year after year.
Brilliant.
I was like, that's so good. I'm stealing that. And I just tweaked, nodding, I just tweaked it a little bit.
And I'm going to take it now, if you don't mind.
I am all for theft.
Now I have to give 2 credits. Oh, that's awesome, man. What a brilliant. And it's so cool. It's so like traditional, like you don't even like think about it. You're like, oh wow, that's brilliant, so.
Or the other thing is like at in-person events, the thing I also stole from Andy, and then we just modified it a little bit, was I think one year he did this thing of, he started with one question, which he would ask somebody on his camera. They would have to answer it in 30 seconds and then ask another question. And then he would take that to the next person and be like, here's the question so-and-so asked. You answer, ask.
Piggyback question.
Yes. Because all we did was like basically steal these things from Andy and have some fun with them.
Oh my God.
And he knows this too. Andy's my guy. Yeah, he knows all this.
All right. Well, I think Kate's back there somewhere now. But Kate, these are two things that we're not doing that we're going to do. So anyway, I love that. Well, and then you're getting like engagement to engagement. So and I was going to ask you. I'm like, who's one of your favorite content marketers or other people that you look to? But I think you've already spilled the beans on some of that, right? So.
Oh yeah, Andy Crestodina is fantastic. Heidi Cohen
Oh
is
yeah,
kind of the
Heidi.
yeah, she's OG of content marketing. Nani and I connected with her because of this initial thing we did because she was speaking at CM World, and she's just been like an amazing friend since then. And you talk about, I mean, look at what she does with distribution and curation. Like if
Right.
you Google Heidi Cohen distribution and content creation, or just separate those, she's got a lot of different, like, this is how you do it for B2B. This is how you do it for B2C. This is how you do it in an event. This is how you do it. Like she's really, really strong at that whole not letting anything go to waste.
Right.
Repurpose, reuse, freshen it up. She's a genius.
And what's interesting, we what you saw with our variety of events, we're not just doing social media marketing events and things like that anymore. We're getting pulled into blockchain and fintech and all these other industries, and now we had a healthcare thing come up. So it's like, and so what's interesting is, some of this is a natural, and it feels like it's easy to do at a content marketing conference or a social media content. But I want to hear your thought of, like, if you walked into like a medical conference, or would you treat this any different?
No, I would change the question and that's it.
Yeah.
Andrew Davis is another fantastic content marketer, and he doesn't get a lot of play outside of the content marketing world. And even there, he's not necessarily a rock star. Because of this little thing that Nadia and I did, I met Andrew. So I got to connect with him one-on-one. He contributed to everything. I got invited to be the MC of the keynoter track at CM World last year. Andrew Davis was one of the presenters at that keynoter track. So I met him again and reintroduced myself. He remembered me. I said a bunch of nice things about him on stage. And then he ends up being the top rated speaker of 2017. So he is on the big, big stage this year. All of this is just like, I just stay current. A little bit here, a little bit there. And Andrew Davis dropped this line on me where he said, it's neat to go to these big marketing conferences. You're by and large never going to find work there if marketing is your gig. But if you take these little lessons that you and I are talking about here and take them to the bricklayers union, to the healthcare, to physicians, to chiropractors, to hairstylists, like wherever like these little niches are, and there's so much riches in the niches, and all you do is tweak it, right? Just a little bit, you'll come off as like the second coming, because people will be like amazed, and they'll think you're a genius, and all you have to do is just change the question to whatever the pressing concern is in that industry.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And what's interesting is I showed you a picture earlier of the fact that we have this event influencer, and so we're always thinking about creating the sizzle reel and all that stuff, from the content that we're doing. But I'm thinking, maybe there's a new approach to this, to where we almost give it a viral feel, or in the crowd feel, to where we could, because we do like video shots in the crowd or things like that, but maybe taking these questions or these piggyback questions and going right in the crowd with them instead of waiting for people to come to us. That might be even a better reel,
And what's great about that too is it builds so much affinity with the just there folks,
Right.
which is like 95% of the people that are there, and pretty much 100% of the people that may give you business are fellow attendees at these events. Not the speakers, and not necessarily getting up on stage. And you just can't overstate the importance in all of this of the people and building relationships. It's been the biggest takeaway of all this.
Yeah, and I want, I started off in the days of like Comdex and the big tech shows where there was like 20, 30. So talk about intimidating. Imagine going to a show with 40, 50,000 people, 100,000 people. It was massive. It was just, it'd be multiple buildings, and it's almost like, you just have to like jump in to the deep end, but I'm thinking about, in today's world, doesn't it feel like people are much more collaborative and willing to connect and be with one another at these events, and share information. Do you find that as well?
I absolutely have. People are, again, I don't know if it's because content marketers are the underbelly of the internet, and so we've got so many hangups, we're just dying for someone to be nice to us. I don't know if that's it, but I don't know, man. People are people, and you show a little bit of genuine interest. You ask a pressing question and just listen for a minute. You tell them something like, I'm putting together a piece on my biggest struggle when I come to events like this, and I know that it's blank. What do you think of that? Like that authenticity, that vulnerability, it doesn't matter the size. It's such a one-on-one builder, and it just resonates almost immediately.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think about is that I think this is a great time to play. You know what I mean? Just because you're so playful, and you were so playful in how you went about this. I think that's important for people to hear, that it's like, you know what? Yeah, we're all scared, and you actually had a partner. So Nadia was your sort of, I don't want to call your safety blanket, but it was like,
Yeah.
it feels different if you're in it with somebody. And let's
Yes.
go play at this conference. We both got rejected. Let's have a plan to both go play, And so I think that's the coolest part about this. It's like, there's so many things to play with, is just go play.
And I love the way you say go play. One of the things I'll do to trick my mind is I'll treat things like an experiment. For some reason, that works for me. I love the play metaphor, but I'll tell myself, let's just see what happens if we do this. I wonder what'll happen. What'll happen if I take my phone with Snap all set up that I have no idea really how to use, but I can hold the button down, they can hold the button down, and I just ask them a question and give them 10 seconds to answer it. This is going to be interesting.
Oh, so you use Snapchat to do that?
We use Snapchat, and then you can save all the videos so we could roll them all together as well.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
But it's that experiment. So like you say, let's go play. And then it takes I can breathe. This isn't so serious. For me, it's like that whole, let's run an experiment. I wonder what'll happen. Right. And then it takes that pressure off, and I can just have more fun with it and be natural.
Yeah, Lori says, who knew that my anxiety could be a great marketing strategy? See, Lori, you have full permission from Aaron to just channel your anxiety and to share it with the next 1,000 people at the next event.
They'll love you for it. Yes.
Oh my God, I'm having anxiety because there's like so much more I want to learn from you, and we're like running out of time. So let's boil this down. So if we're gonna send everybody this the article, and then they'll get to your website. So if you were gonna direct people and go, hey, listen, if you're just starting out in this, or you want to sort of like start to figure this out for yourself, and you want some guidance before you talk to me, here's where you should go on my website. Where would you point people to?
So at the end of the article, send them to the article. At the very end of the article are 10 lessons. So it's long.
Oh, good. Yes,
this thing is like a beast. But I did it on purpose because I wanted to be like, okay, here's everything we did seriously with screenshots, not holding anything back. So you can reverse engineer yourself. But at the end are just 10 lessons about people being people, how to ask good questions. One of them was just like, get a partner in crime to do it with. Those 10 lessons are the easiest place to jump in.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So, so that's super cool. So, any other like secret tools that you use or anything like that?
I love, one of the things that's helped a lot for me is when I'm trying to get someone's attention, like a publisher, or like, the Fox News thing you talked about, or when I was trying to get a Fast Company and Business Insider, because that was my bread and butter, like I said, for quite a while. And that's how I really built my career. Google Trends is fantastic just to see what's hot right now in search, and how do I overlap traditional lessons on marketing or my industry, like whatever your industry is, how do I overlap that with what's currently popular in pop culture? So I love going to Google Trends, clicking the celebrity stream,
Yep.
And I just write the Bruno Mars guide to being a chiropractor. Like, I'm dead serious. I
do that. I do that too. It's like, what's, because my question of the day is, what's trending?
Mhm.
Let's attach to that, as long as it's peaceful.
I dig it. I've done it so many times, and it's a great way to get attention. It's a great way to stay topical. It's a great way to repackage old ideas in a fresh way.
No, right on, right on, right on. Oh man, that is so cool. Yeah, and I just love the fact that, it just blows me away that there's so many things at our fingertips now with apps and tools and things like that. It's like I turn around, there's like another cool thing that you're like, oh, that'll help me out. It's like it's almost to the point of overwhelm. So it's like at some point you just have to pick your thing and go with it.
Yeah. No, I think that's very true for social media, especially. I'm on Twitter, Facebook for personal, and beasting out on LinkedIn because I'm
You
loving
are, man.
LinkedIn
Yes,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. You're a beast on LinkedIn for
And I
sure.
literally have never posted to Instagram. I have a Snapchat just for the filters so I can entertain those 3 daughters that
Yeah,
mentioned
there
at
you
the
go,
top.
man.
Yeah.
And the 2 rabbits.
Yes. Yeah.
Now we're following your bunnies, just so you know. They're treading.
Yeah. They have an Instagram. I do, but I've literally never posted. So.
Oh man, well, you've been a delight. So if people do want to connect to you or ask you questions, LinkedIn, you're super responsive for sure. And we have your Twitter handle up here. And I know if they go to the other Twitter handle, you route them to this one, which is brilliant. So that's cool. So he doesn't just have 9 followers; he's got 29,000 followers. So make sure you connect to him on the right channel. So.
On the right one, yeah.
I know. I was accidental when I first went there. I go, wait a minute. I know he's a beast on LinkedIn. We got to help him with Twitter. And they're like, oh, no, there's a better Twitter. So you're all good.
I just changed over, yeah.
So, and we always have conferences going on that we produce, that we work, that we collaborate with. So I'm glad to have you as part of the family. It's the first time on the program with us, but man, we want to have you on again. And we learned so much just in this short little stint. So as we publish this, we're going to obviously tag you, and then we're going to write an article about this and include all these great tips. And then we'll drive everybody back to this site for you, and hopefully it turns into good things. So what we're going to do is we're going to close out with a poll, and then we're going to bring our gang back here. So real quick, if you guys need any help with your influence, just jump on and click on the screen right there. And then hopefully Kate might be back with us. And I know Jackson's back, but we'll see if Kate comes back. That'd be awesome. And then just click on the screen if you need help with any of those things. And then next week's guest, we have Thea Polancic. She's the founder and chair of Conscious Capitalism Chicago and Techstars, and she has a lot of good stuff going for her. So she will be on with us next week. And so there's Kate. Welcome back,
Hello.
Kate.
Thank you.
We were afraid we lost you on the internet.
You did lose me, but luckily I got to tune in for Aaron's interview.
So what's your takeaway? What's one thing? And Aaron, you can come back too. You don't have to.
Come back, Aaron.
Yeah, come on back, man. So Kate, what's one thing? What's one takeaway for you? And
well, first of all, I loved Aaron's shameless telling that he steals things from other people, because I love that, because that's what I preach to my team, and sometimes I feel a little bad, but I love it. And I love that you stole from Andy, because he's one of our great friends. And I love the idea of using the videos to bounce questions, because we meet all these influencers, and my first question to them is like, can I get you on Influence Factory? But really, that should be the question I ask them, is a random question, get their video, and then tag them and ask them to be on Influence Factory. So
I like that.
I'm gonna use it. I love it.
Jackson, how about you? You're in the production end of these events with video and everything. So what's your one takeaway?
Well, I really enjoyed, I think my favorite thing that he said was, that everything goes back to the written word, and that's, if I had to pick one, that was the biggest one, was that everything goes back to the written word. Like, we wouldn't have, the videos if we didn't have the at least rough outline. We write that out, and everything is written.
Yeah, good call.
So yeah, we have our outlines here every week. So I mean, it looks like blank pages, but they're not. I swear.
There's stuff written all over these. Look at
Looks
that.
like
Look how
brain
much was
head.
written just for this show alone, right? So everybody says that, capital, what do you call it? Content with a capital C. They loved all the authenticity, the asking the questions, embracing your fear. So these are all the comments that are coming in. So
that reminded me too of Ellie Deutsch at Social Media Strategy Summit, where she said content is king. Do you know Ellie Deutsch, Aaron?
I don't. I should
We
track
got
her
to
down.
connect you to her. You'd love
she's
her.
at McDonald's. She runs social for McDonald's. She's good peeps.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know the head of social for McDonald's in Canada. This will be a great intro.
Love it.
Whoop, whoop.
That's awesome.
All right, cool. So we have some winners today. So we already have one. I gave away an extra prize this week. And then Jackson, who's our top influencer in chat?
In the chat was Patty Rutkowski. She had great questions, and
Patty.
I could tell she was focused on it the whole time. But how could you not be? Aaron's energy alone, it was awesome. It was just I'm like watching. I was like, what's he gonna say next? And I was like, so it was great show today. I loved it.
Yeah, thank you. And then Kate, do we have a winner on social?
We do. Jenny Ben Wedeman.
Whoop, whoop. All right. Now remember, folks, when you get these Starbucks gift cards, you need to take something that Aaron or that we shared on this program and share it with somebody face to face. So go on social media, go into social media, but don't stay in social media. Get into a coffee shop and really enjoy some FaceTime and share something that you learned today with somebody else. Teach somebody else. So Aaron, we just want to thank you from everybody here at the program, and we learned so much from you. And again, if you want to get a hold, we will send out all these great links, but at Aaron Orendorff, and everybody's just raving about this. So nice job, as I expected. And thank you. We learned a whole bunch too, so we'll give you full credit on this as we use your techniques.
Hey, I enjoyed myself. You let me nerd out.
Yeah.
I couldn't ask for more.
All right. Well, thank you. And we will see you on the interwebs on social. I'm sure we're going to see you at a conference coming up real soon. Thank you again. And from all of us here to all of you out there, we'll see you online. Take care, folks.
Bye. See you.